on 88.9 WEIU. Now, issues and attitudes.
And a good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the show. My name is Jeff Owens, interim manager at WEIU Radio. My co-host, Annalisa Haynes.
Hi, everyone.
Who just ran here from class.
Yes, I did.
And that's just caught her breath. We're
I
all
still
good.
got it.
Our guest today are from the city of Mattoon, Mayor Mr. Tim Gover.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
And city managers, Mr. Kyle Gill.
Yes.
So we're going to have both of you scoop those mics just a little bit here at WEIU. I guess we'll start off with just kind of maybe an overview of what's new in the city of Mattoon, then we'll get into some details about particulars. But just give you an overview of what's happening right now in Mattoon.
Okay, as you can tell, I have a cold.
Yep, Kyle's got to step up today, doesn't he?
So he's going to have to do most of the talking today. So I'll turn it over to him, and I'll jump in occasionally. So.
Okay.
Mattoon, we've actually had a good year this year. A lot of development going on in town. We had lots of new stores. Starbucks opened early in the year. We also had Mattex Heating opened up, and the wireless mics at 21st and Charleston. Planet Fitness came to town. Seems to be doing really well. Carl Medical Supply moved from their Broadway location out onto Lerner Road. We've had a couple new strip malls, the one where Starbucks was, another one at Detro Drive and Remington Road, where there's Mattoon Chiropractic is at. Expansions like Aldi's added on, Rural King added a veterinarian clinic. They also bought the Coles County Mall, which is a good thing for Mattoon.
Thank goodness.
They're working with people trying to get interest in the mall. They have a lot of people that they talk with when they bought other old Walmarts and get other people to co-share those locations with them. So
Scotty's Brew House is going to open up soon.
Yep, and that's maybe later this week even.
Oh, really? That
next
close?
Week. It's they're just putting the final touches on that.
Have you been out there and checked that out yet?
Yeah, actually I have, and it looks really nice. It's going to be a good-looking place, and I think everybody in town will like it. So
there you go. I know the Cross County Mall with Rural King has been it's kind of a neat project when you think about it, because no one really knew what was going to happen to the mall. The rumors have been going around forever, and with Rural King purchasing it, it really does kind of give that area a big really kick in the good side of the butt, as they say. Would you agree?
I would agree. And, initially they were talking about leaving their store where it was and moving corporate to the mall. And then they decided, well, that's not really a good fit. And so now they're going to move the store there and leave corporate out on West DeWitt.
Okay, that makes sense.
But very happy to see that they bought the mall. And as Kyle mentioned, they're looking to bring more stores in there.
So what does that mean for Mattoon? Because I used to work at the mall, and one of the things that we noticed was that and this isn't just at Mattoon. It's malls all over the place.
They're all closing.
Yeah, and there weren't a lot of people, and it's shocking because you have two college campuses, right? And so there should be more people going in there. So what does it mean to have Rural King buying the mall? So what does that mean for Mattoon, I should say?
Go ahead.
I think it's a good thing. We've had the previous owners were from Texas and really never knew what was going on in Mattoon and Charleston, where you have Rural King now, and they realize that we've got a lot of students over here at Eastern going to Lakeland, and they need clothing, and some of our stores like the Route 21, they closed down several of them in Central Illinois, but Mattoon stayed open, and I think it is because of the college kids.
That's so true.
Let's talk a little.
I think there will be more businesses move in there as time goes on.
Well, that's the goal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They want to fill it.
There you go. And have you talked to any of them about timeline for when the next? I guess everybody, after you get one, who's next?
I've talked to Blake Pierce is one of the ones I talked to out at Rural King, but of course they got to keep things quiet who they're talking with, but they've made several contacts. Some that I've made contacts before with the previous owners, and they're talking to them, and so they're really actively seeking more tenants out there.
And then downtown, I was a little disturbed when I heard that Sears was closing, but it sounds like that's just going to be a minor close and then a reopen under a local name. So not a terrible hit for downtown Mattoon with Sears leaving.
Correct, and that was one of my concerns too. Was you're losing the kind of the Sears name, even though Sears is not doing so hot, even though it's a hometown, but they've had problems getting products from Sears. And so I think their business is good, so they're just going to close down the Sears hometown and start up a new business.
There you go. Common Grounds, any word on that? I've heard 1,000 different rumors of what's going in there. I know when that closed, people were upset because Common Grounds has been kind of that coffee on the corner place for years in Mattoon. Any rumors or?
Just under new ownership, they are looking for a restaurant type style business to go back into that area. They're cleaning it out, doing some cosmetic work, and also some structural repairs that had been neglected over the years.
Because you'd hate to see that business closed or that place closed just because it grew up weird. It was arcade drugs for all of us.
Yeah.
You know, remember way back when. Not for you.
That was probably before my time.
It's probably before you were born, but it's still got the arcade sign on there. I love that up at the top. If you really notice, that's the kind of weird stuff some of us see that are from Mattoon. So I'm glad that I've heard a brick oven pizza place is coming in there, or I've heard a restaurant, all kinds of things. So
I think they're just actively seeking. They know they want to put a restaurant back in there.
But downtown's really revitalized itself with some of the events. So talk about some of the things that have happened in downtown Mattoon that have really made downtown Mattoon kind of a destination on a few nights of the year.
Well, 15, 20 years ago, downtown was dying. We had buildings that were really falling down, so to speak, and we started.
Some did actually fall down.
Yeah.
And we started a TIF district down there, and got the right people involved. Don Friesmeyer and Tony
Summers guy, maybe
Keith Summers
Whoever he
now.
is,
They've all actively wanted to buy these buildings, fix them up, and Corey Sanders is another one that bought a building. All of them downtown. We've got more local ownership in it, and they've done everything they can to bring more people downtown, just like the trunk or treat that happened a few weeks ago and brought, I'd guess about 3,000 people to the downtown area. We have the Christmas Celebrate Downtown, which will be this Friday night.
Yep.
The business owners are actively doing things like this along with the city to get people downtown and in the stores.
There you go.
So I'm sorry, go ahead, you first.
I was just going to say that some of us can remember back when most of the downtown buildings were owned by people outside the city of Mattoon, and basically they just took out, they didn't put anything back in, and that created a lot of problems with the buildings. I told Keith Summers the other day, I said, Keith, I think we ought to change the name of Mattoon to Summersville, because Keith has done a lot, along with Don Friesmeyer and others, in revitalizing downtown Mattoon.
Okay, that's it. Go ahead.
Well,
Alicia.
I think, and I'm sorry if you didn't mention this, but did you say TIF funding? Okay, so do you, now I know what it is. I still am very confused about it because I know that's some of the stuff that's happened when we covered Charleston City Council. So what is that?
So it's a tax increment funding, and what it is, financing. So what it does is it kind of freezes their tax, what the city gets on when it starts. But as they redevelop and the taxes do go up, then those taxes that go up, that increase, gets put in the pot to spend that money in that TIF district. So it's basically their taxes are being raised, but that money's going back into the businesses to take care of blighted areas, run down.
And they can apply for those funds.
Right. So I noticed there's this huge push to shop local, and it isn't just in Charleston, it isn't just in Mattoon, but it's across the country. Right. So how has that helped Mattoon? Because I've noticed too, just from my my freshman year to now, that there's a lot of people driving through the little square. I think it's the cutest thing ever, by the train station. But how has that helped?
Well, it helps tremendously because with all the internet sales and everything, that if they'll buy local, it helps the city's budgets as well. The state of Illinois is not in the best shape either, so we've seen funding cut. Coles County is under PTEL, so it limits us what we can raise our taxes. So all the people that shop locally, that sales tax helps us do other work around the community as well. So,
well, let's move into some of the projects that you have kind of completed this year. But as you head into 2019, what are some of the things that are on the agenda?
We have the bike trail. All the engineering has been done. We did environmentals, so next spring we'll do a letting, and that will be asphalting the bike trail between Mattoon and Charleston.
Okay.
We'll also be adding a little bit on the Mattoon side to get it to the Amtrak station. So basically, anyone from like EIU could take the train down from Chicago or where they're from and ride their bike over to EIU. tie into Charleston's trails as well. So,
Something I might mention about that, I received an anonymous letter, which I usually pay a bit of attention to, but it talked about the bike trail a woman wrote, and I was concerned because we were spending money on the bike trail when the budget is having a problem, but that money comes from a grant. It's not coming from our
General usage,
general
yeah.
revenue funds.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make that point for our audience to hear.
Awesome. I'm glad you did. Okay, I want to ask you one question before you continue on. Marshall Avenue, what is the progress of that? Because that's that is an absolute pain in the butt. I know it's not anybody's fault, but if you have a kid in the middle school, it's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
What is the timeline on that?
So all the concrete work is completed. Actually, I think by the end of the week it will be open. So everybody be happy about that, except for maybe some of the homeowners right there. They kind of like that being closed for a little
There you
bit.
go.
But no, Marshall Avenue will be completed here, I think, this week. We'll have to do some seeding and grass work next spring. And then we'll be working on engineering next year for that. And the final phase of that will be from 14th to 17th Street, and that will be in 2020 when we actually do the construction.
Okay. Are there any other, when you think about 2019, other things on the agenda that are big ticket items or that you'd like to get a handle if weather and money are cooperative?
We're wanting to hopefully do a downtown streetscape, and maybe the next year, 2019, be the first year that we do our first section of that, which we have a little bit around the Heritage Park and the depot, but those type of lighting we want to extend all the way down from 14th to 19th, and I think we will be starting on that next year, the first couple blocks, and we'll continue to do a little bit every year. We always do a sidewalk program. This year we did from 22nd to 27th on Champaign Avenue, fixing all into bad areas, and that we just got completed, and we'll do another section next year, probably continue from 27th to 32nd on Champaign.
And also, I'm hoping next year we will be able to redo the parking lot at Burgess Osborne Auditorium.
Yeah, I noticed when I voted
it's
that.
really in bad shape, and a lot of traffic there. A lot of people use that when they you go to the Burgess Osborne Auditorium for activities, and also go to the police department. So
Yeah, it seems like that just really popped up in the last year or so, that how, if it's just wear and tear, or, I guess it's an older building.
It's been
so,
there for a while.
yeah.
It's an older building, but we made that building, remodeled it, and made it look really nice, and now we got to work on
You can almost
the parking lot.
redo that parking lot in general. This would probably be a little bit more favorable to park there, overall, if you're going to do it.
Sure.
Yes.
There's my advice to other guys. I'm good at giving people
But-
advice.
But in general, how do you prioritize for these types of projects? Because it seems like there's a lot of stuff going on. So how do you figure out, okay, this is what we're going to do first, and then so on and so forth?
And that is always the biggest struggle.
Sure.
Because we have projects galore that more than we can ever get done. But we sit down with the council throughout the year and the different departments and try to prioritize what we're doing. And like I said, we've just done the Burgess Osborne remodeling the inside. We're getting more use out of it, so that makes that parking lot a little more priority. And then again, it depends on the fundings too, because our general fund isn't the best, and we've had some struggles there. But with the TIF district, if it's in a TIF, that money can only be used in that area. So yes, that kind of puts an emphasis on those projects that are in
Right.
the TIF.
and we work very closely with Public Works Director Dean Barber in coming up with some of those, because some of those items are through tax money or money that he gets with restricted funds.
See, it's interesting to see the dynamic of local government work. I'm a political science minor, so that's why all these questions are coming up.
Oh, that's good.
So I actually know what we're
We're
talking
here to
about
educate
today.
the youth, so if you ask questions, it's all
And
good.
I taught finance for 32 years here, so.
Oh, really? I did not know
Yeah.
that. That's very cool. So, but, with local governments, it does seem like, especially in Mattoon and Charleston, I notice this more than, I'm from Cook County. So it's kind of all over the place. But here, it seems like everyone knows everyone. Does that help with that too?
It does
Yeah.
not hurt, yes. I mean, we all work together. I mean, like, even between Mattoon and Charleston, we have the same problems. Every city has the same problems.
Right.
And, a little different, but we help each other out. We talk, and it's kind of good to know what Charleston's doing and what Mattoon's doing, because sometimes we can work together, like the bike trail. We got a federal grant. We went together to get that grant.
That's true. That's
and,
true.
it just... that gives us a little better chance of getting those grants.
I'd like to follow up on that. That's a great
Yeah.
question you asked, but because when you're the city manager and you're the city mayor, or you're the mayor, just like anywhere else, is there a place though you can go without being asked questions in Mattoon? Can you sit down and have a Coca-Cola, a beer, a cup of coffee, whatever, and just enjoy yourself? Or somebody goes, "Hey, Kyle, I got to ask you," or a mayor, I got to ask you. Is there a place like that?
Very
I haven't
little.
found it yet.
Other than home, right?
But that's fine. That's what we're here for.
And we enjoy it. I mean, I know people will say, "Hey, I know you're not working, but I want to ask you a question."
Well, I went to a 50th anniversary celebration on Saturday. A former student of mine celebrating 50 years of marriage. But anyway, I had 3 or 4 people come up to me and make comments about things. And they were good comments, good questions. And, I tried to answer them. So
You're always the mayor and you're always the city manager no matter where you go, right?
Right.
Always in the
24/7.
spotlight.
And we're doing the jobs because we like it and enjoy what we're doing. And then my kids, though, they'll be like, "Dad, can you go anywhere without sitting and talking forever?"
But something you brought up also that maybe a lot of people don't know, our department heads meet. When I say our department heads, I mean Charleston, Mattoon.
Right.
Department heads meet on a regular basis, and then the Charleston Mayor Combs and City Manager Smith and Kyle and I meet usually once a month for lunch and discuss common problems, common interests, things we can work together with.
Well, that actually brings up another interesting question, because I know Mattoon High School and Charleston High School, there has to be a rivalry between the 2 high schools, okay? So you can't tell me that there isn't.
No, I agree.
Right?
There it is. I mean,
But is there, and I think you already answered the question, is there a sense of rivalry between the 2 towns? Or is there something that bridges, on a bigger scale? Is there something that bridges the 2 towns?
I think there's always that little bit of you want to get it, not your the other city or whatever.
I think it's more like fun now than it was probably 30 years ago, where it was more like, because I remember when Sarah Bush got built, and not to interrupt, but remember there was a big fight over what address was going to be. Was it going to be a Mattoon-based business or a Charleston-based business? So Mattoon got the address, Charleston got the water, or whatever the agreement was back then.
Well, and when the Lifespan Center was built, it had to be built in, quote, neutral territory. So it's sort of there behind Sarah Bush. And so that's one of the things as well. But when I became mayor, I said, okay, let's meet the mayor of Charleston, mayor of Mattoon, city manager, city administrator. Let's meet and discuss common problems, common interests, because really there are things that Charleston can do that benefit Mattoon and vice versa.
And Brandon and
working
Scott, by the way, are coming in January. Is to do
but
this.
working together,
these
we can
questions
get
down.
a lot more accomplished. And it's not so easy right now, but with various grants of types, state and federal grants, working together in Coles County and with Coles Together, it's helped tremendously.
But, and like you said, kind of a little bit back on the rivalry, it's good that you have that, but then again, both cities know that what's good for one's good for the other.
Right.
You get a big business in here, Mattoon and Charleston both, and Eastern, when Eastern enrollment was down, it doesn't just affect Charleston, it affects Mattoon too, because of some of the students coming over shopping in the mall and everything else. Some of the jobs that they work at while they're going to college is over in Mattoon. So we realize that overall it's all good for us. So the more we can work together,
but we still want to whoop them in sports.
Most definitely.
I say that with you 2 here. I'll have to be nice in a few weeks. Now, on a note about the jobs, this is kind of a question I got to backtrack a little bit. The last couple of shows we've had some people from Lakeland and other folks in here who talked about there's really a demand for factory jobs that are going, they're not being filled in not just Mattoon, but Paris, Mattoon, Charleston, Effingham. Have you thought about, or are you marketing Mattoon or Coles County as a way that, hey, if you come here, there's jobs open? It would help us because we get more, people in the town. But is that being done at all?
It's being started. We have a Mattoon in Motion, and they have a workforce development committee that meets as one of the 6 groups, and some of the factory managers are actually part of it, and they've been talking around. They're working with Lakeland to try to get students, realize what's out there. They're talking to the schools. We have manufacturing day to let students know. But then there's also that push of how do we get some other people farther out away to realize that. And last I'd heard, there was like 800 jobs in a,
Because I know Lakeland, we talked to Lakeland, and they said they could only really market in district unless it's something that if they go out of the district, it has to be something that's not in their district. And so I just didn't know if and I know that it's always weird when you're the city because you're really not actively trying to find people jobs, but you are trying to market your city as places where there are places to live and there's going to be jobs to be had.
And if there's like been a factory that closes down, you know, Mattoon Chamber of Commerce has reached out and said, hey, we do have jobs in Coles County, surrounding area. Please, you know, come check us out.
Okay. A couple of other subjects we have to touch on, or I'll be getting yelled at by people. The water problem. I know there's something going on. Could you address that to kind of let people know exactly what's happening with Mattoon Water?
Usually every fall we do have a little bit of an issue with Lake Paradise and when it's drier. This year, though, we've been pumping out of Lake Mattoon. We did have an instance where we had to stop pumping out of Lake Mattoon because of some contaminant levels. And we're trying to figure out where those came from and actively seeing that. So we've been pumping back out of Paradise, which has a little bit more odor. But I think, I don't know if it was last week or if it might be even this week, we're switching back to Lake Mattoon, which you're starting to see better taste and less odor. So
when people ask you, what do people ask you the most? I mean, you know, when they ask you is it about the water? Is it the fire department issue? What do people talk about when they're asking you in those restaurants that they bother you at?
It's a wide range. It could be anything. Yeah. So, but
potholes in front of their house, or
right?
That's all over the place too.
Oh yeah.
That would be the first thing I ask.
Yeah.
Now, off mic, we were talking before the show, and I think even before you got here, Alicia, the Mattoon Police Department has done something I think is really good. Is they're posting their arrest photos, and it really is garnering a lot of attention in terms of good, bad, maybe humor, maybe sadness, or whatever. What are you think it's a good thing, and your thoughts with them of posting their arrest photos?
I think it's a good thing. And, you know, we had a staff meeting this morning before we came over here, and I was talking with Chief Taylor about this, but every community has the drug problem. There's no way around it. But a lot of communities just don't recognize they have it. And our police department has done an outstanding job of going after this and trying to eliminate some of the problems we have in Mattoon. And people say, well, Mattoon's a dope capital. Well, not really. We have no more there than there are in other cities, but we're just going after it, maybe more viciously, or at least to try to curtail some of it.
It's in the public eye more.
It is. Yeah.
And with it being in the
Good
public
point.
eye more, I mean, it does two things. It's one, it's showing the citizens, hey, we're out there working on this. We're actively seeking these people and trying to get them to stop. And then the other thing is, you know, other cities to say, hey, they're getting busts all the time in Mattoon. We don't want to bring it into Mattoon, you know. So that's the type of things that why we're actively keeping this out there.
A couple of things. Lightworks is going on right now. The homeless shelter, where do we stand on that in terms of building and so?
Well, they're going to have their grand opening week from Sunday.
So it's coming up close to it.
So, and they're working diligently. I noticed this morning they were about in the process of pouring concrete, I think, for their parking lot.
They're getting pretty close to being completed there at the building. Lightworks is going on. I've had several people go through there already this year. It's we get more and more people wanting to be sponsors. So,
it was cool that GE moved their stuff there after they closed. So
yep, they offered all the stuff to Kurt and the park department. They did a good job of retrofitting it to the LEDs and having it.
A few minutes left. Anything on your political science mind over here?
No, I think we touched more on, you know, local government and how that works and where the money comes. That's always the number one question. Where does the money come from?
There you go.
So.
Well, I think an interesting thing, too, we have to look at, speaking of that, a new administration's coming into Springfield after the first of the year, so it's going to be interesting to see what changes there might be there and
any rumors
how that might impact the city as far as our financing.
Any thoughts, or just kind of wait till he gets his committees all formed and moves forward?
Keeping our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
There you go. Checker Top Cab also, that was kind of a sad closing. It had been there forever. I know that with everything, with all these other different forms of transportation, that maybe cab companies are sometimes struggle a little bit. But I mean, it's been there forever, so you hate to see it, you know, not be there, I guess, is the lack of what better way to say it.
That is correct. And then you had a couple other taxi cab services that come in town, and then like you said, who knows what's going to be next with the Ubers and the Lyfts and everything. But it's just something that was hard for, you know, I think them to stay competitive with, and unfortunately, that had a closure of a long-standing taxi cab service.
And my other question, before we get into the world famous questions, is why do you think people can't say Mattoon? And I would say this: I was at a wrestling tournament this weekend, the 4th consecutive year at this wrestling tournament in Bethalto, which is 2 hours away. The announcer every time would say, "Now wrestling from Mattoon would be whoever." And I'm just like, I just don't get it. Does it drive you nuts when you go places, or is it just me? Is it? I want to know if it's me, or does it bother you when somebody says Mattoon?
The mayor and I have different opinions on this. Me, it doesn't bother me, but I do.
All right, I'm the mayor's side on this one. Then.
It bothers me.
All right, good.
We know they're not from around here.
Yes.
And we try to help them pronounce it.
There you go. Any other things before I ask you other related questions that you want to talk about for the city of Mattoon? We're talking to Mayor Tim Gover and City Manager Mr. Kyle Gill today. Anything I forgot on your list?
Well, we've got 2 lists here, and I think we'd have to come back to finish it because there's so many good things going on in Mattoon.
That's good.
And like I said, we just touched on some of the new additions and the new buildings, and it's just been a great year for construction. I think we'll see it continue into next year.
Any rumors of stuff coming into town? Maybe don't name names, but like restaurants.
Don't pass rumors along.
Gosh darn it! I try every time.
Good try.
So there we
A
go.
for effort.
All right. What is the oddest thing someone's asked you in your job, Mr. Gill and Mr. Gover?
Ooh, the oddest thing.
Any off-the-wall question?
The oddest thing I ever have had was an email from a woman who'd done some DNA checking. She wanted to know if I would take her to introduce her to a person she had identified as her biological father and grandmother.
It's a little
That
outside the
is
periphery of mayoral duties.
That is a little above my pay grade.
Wow. Top that one, Kyle.
Oh, I can't top that one. That one was a good one. We were both stunned when we seen that.
And we knew the people. But
Oh, man.
I was gonna say, where's the link? Why did she reach out to you? But I guess it is because you knew the people. That's
Oh, well,
Man,
okay.
you
my
don't get-
job description, I guess, I don't know.
you don't hear those every day, man.
If Mattoon could have one thing for Christmas, what would you like it to be, Mr. Kyle Gill?
Ooh, I'd like a Texas Roadhouse.
Good answer.
Health, happiness for the people in the city of Mattoon
Mayor
and
answer.
around.
Good answer. Do you remember
Merry
your first?
Christmas and happy, healthy, and prosperous 2019.
I like that. Do you remember your first job? What was your first job?
Well, my first job was actually with car care, cleaning cars at their 21st and Charleston.
First job?
Working at Sally Ann Bakery, loading trucks with bread.
That's awesome. All right, well, we're out of time, unfortunately. I had some more questions to go, but this time goes fast. We're talking to the city of Mattoon. You guys have a great, happy, and prosperous holiday, like you said, and we appreciate Kyle and Tim coming in today, and it's always fun talking to you guys and getting an update about what's happening in Mattoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Lisa, have yourself a great day.
Thank you. I will.
This is HitMix 88.9, WEIU, WEIU TV, Your 13 TV, and WEIU.net. We're everywhere today. Have a great day, everybody.
This is Hit Mix 88.9 WEIU, Charleston, Illinois.